Hi guys! Guess what freaking time of year it is?
Star Wars time.
It's the Star Wars season. Christmas. What?
What?
It's the season of Star Wars.
We're giving you a break from Stranger Things for Star Wars! We're gonna start off by giving our general opinions.
On The Last Jedi.
Spoiler free, so that if you haven't seen it yet, you can enjoy a little bit of this video.
Just get an idea of what we thought of it. First of all, it's Star Wars. Like, what are you doing? Go see it.
Yeah, if you haven't seen it opening weekend, what are you doing? But also, please be respectful of others and their opinions in the comments, regardless of how you thought about the film.
Yeah, this has been an extremely divisive film, to say the least.
Very polarizing.
Very polarizing. So just, regardless of what you thought of the movie, everyone is entitled to their own opinion. But be respectful in the comments. Just because someone liked something and you didn't, or vice versa, doesn't mean that
you have to be a dick about it.
Yes, exactly. So,
rule number 1, don't be a dick.
That's our channel slogan.
Yeah, it really should be.
Been all about it. Don't be a dick. So, yeah, but we're going to give our general, what did you think of The Last Jedi, directed by Ryan Johnson?
The Last Jedi, directed by Ryan Johnson.
Episode 8.
Episode 8. Considering I have merch from it, I overall liked it. It was a good film. It had some really, really great moments. Had some really interesting moments.
Yeah, it definitely took a lot of risks.
It took risks. Can't say it didn't.
Yeah.
And you know, it's a good film. I want to go see it again, so that obviously it's gonna get more of my money. So it's a good film.
Yeah, I am on the same page. I went into it knowing that it was divisive, which
I didn't. I went into it
I purposely didn't tell
I'm excited!
I was avoiding spoilers. Like, I didn't know anything about the movie, but I'd heard that a lot of people did not like it, and so I went in being like, holy crap,
I hope it's good.
I'm gonna hate this. And I ended up really liking it, and it was very entertaining. It had some really high moments where, like, people were applauding and cheering in the theater.
And laughing.
And yeah, it had a lot more humor than some of the past Star Wars movies have. I think most of the humor stuck and was legitimately funny and didn't feel forced. But yeah, overall, like, there was definitely, it's not a perfect movie by any stretch. Like, there are definitely flaws and issues that I have with it, but not enough to detract from me generally liking it. And,
you know, I definitely think as a film, it's really tough to have a perfect film nowadays, but at least it wasn't Revenge of the Sith or Empire Strikes Back. Like, it's a different film.
Yes.
It's not A New Hope. It's not.
Yeah, I think a lot of the criticism of The Force Awakens was that it was
A New Hope.
It was A New Hope. It was definitely taking more from the past incarnations of Star Wars than
being a new original thing. And so now you have the opposite, where you're doing a new original thing, and
to the point where it's
so
still
different. Star Wars?
Yeah, and I think that's an interesting concept, because some people are like, it didn't feel like Star Wars to me, but, you know, that's how I feel about the prequels. The prequels don't really give me that warm, kind of fuzzy Star Wars feeling.
But this does?
Yeah, but so Star Wars is a lot of different things to a lot of different people. Like, for some people, the Clone Wars and the Rebels TV series are
Star Wars, and sometimes they are.
Yeah, so I think that you're not gonna like, this is a huge franchise, you're not gonna like everything.
And part of it.
Exactly, and for me, I did like this movie.
The pros definitely outweigh the cons.
Yes. So, yeah,
that's our spoiler
review.
Now, spoiler alert, we're gonna spoil some things.
We're gonna talk about legitimate things that happened in the movie, specific choices, acting.
We liked or didn't like.
So if you haven't seen the movie, just don't watch it. Just come
pause
back
here, go see the film, and then press play when you get back.
Yes, exactly. And then
that's
back. So I'm assuming you've done that and now you're back.
Yeah,
okay,
come back.
So, the first thing we want to talk about was Luke, yes, Luke Skywalker, his great return to the franchise.
He finally says words.
He said things.
He deserves the top billing again.
I thought Mark Hamill did an amazing job.
He
really committed to this role.
It was a good time.
Yeah, he was really great, and I think a lot of the criticism about this movie has been about specifically what they did with his character.
Yeah. Character assassination
is a word
that is one way to see it, I guess.
Yeah, but I would definitely disagree. I think that he was one of the things I really liked about the movie was what they did with his character, because, and we talked about this when we left the theater, that a lot of people complain that Rey is like a Mary Sue character, but I think
is false.
I've never seen it that way, but I think if any character from the original trilogy could be defined as a Mary Sue character, it would be Luke.
Yeah.
He's very much like the good guy always does things right. He, even though he has his his faith tested a little bit.
He always knew who he was.
You never thought he was going to go to the dark side. You never questioned, but maybe he would. And so this was an interesting character take on him. Like he was very flawed, and he made mistakes, and he
multidimensional. It made him a multifaceted character.
He had regrets and stuff, and that was challenging to what we thought of Luke as a character from before.
And since there's been this huge gap in time, it makes perfect sense that this character would go through some shit.
Yeah.
So
and he's going to be different than he was 30 years ago.
It's fully believable that 30 years later he could be an old curmudgeon. Yeah. Like it's not out of the realm of possibility. He's jaded. It's life. Yeah. He's not this perfect character in a box on a shelf.
Yeah.
To never be touched. That was the original series, and that's not where we are now.
Yeah, and obviously people will disagree with that, but I personally found his character very interesting and dynamic, and and I think the main thing that people really are grappling with, the choice that they had for this character was that he almost killed Ben Solo, his own nephew.
He almost killed his own nephew.
And some people are like, Luke would never do that, and to be fair, that is
it is
a big deal.
Hard to grapple with.
Yeah.
But we don't entirely know the full situation of how that went down. We just have a very, very short telling from both of them of how it went down. We don't know if Snoke was involved. We don't know. It was, for him, he even says it was a small moment of lapse of judgment.
Yeah.
He never really was going to commit to it. Yeah. So it really isn't that hard to believe that he had one moment of flaw, unless he really is a Mary Sue, and then yes, I can see why you would struggle with him having one flaw. But
no, I agree, and I felt that that was reasonable
and humanizing.
Yeah, so I thought he was great, and I was happy.
I believe he did a good job.
And I mean, can we talk about his final scene where he comes back?
He's such a
best scene in the movie. That was just everyone in our theater cheered.
We were all like, oh!
Yeah.
No, it was good.
And the astral projection thing.
He is one powerful Jedi.
Yeah, and
you cannot say that he is not powerful. Yeah. The Skywalker family is strong.
Yeah, I just thought that was a cool use of the Force. I think that
they really, really expanded what we know of the Force in this.
At least within the context of the movies, because it is explored in the expanded universe.
In the Clone Wars is expanded.
But I thought it was just interesting. They really played with what is the Force, what can you do with it?
What can't you do? What is the Force? Because even Han kind of says in the first movie, that's not how the Force works. But he doesn't know.
Yeah,
most people don't know unless you've tried it with the Force. And Luke tries and succeeds in everything he does.
Okay, so next, the subject we wanted to touch upon was
Rey
and Kylo.
And Ben Solo.
Oh, okay. I guess we're calling him Ben now?
I mean,
he's still Kylo.
He's still Kylo Ren. But, after this film, it's really hard to want to call him Kylo. That's the thing is, you want Rey to succeed in helping Kylo bring back Ben Solo.
Yeah, I think
deserve the name of Ben Solo.
The thing that impressed me the most about this movie was how it was able to change my opinion of Kylo Ren. Because okay, listen, I did not hate him in The Force Awakens, but he wasn't interesting to me in The Force Awakens as a character. Other than I thought he was an interesting enough character in The Force Awakens, but I didn't really care about him at all.
When I saw The Force Awakens, it was hard to see him as a formidable villain. I thought he was a dynamic character, but it was hard to see him as a big bad. You know,
he didn't scare you or
Snoke was a big bad. Hux intimidated me more than Kylo did because he was putting up with Kylo's shit. But Kylo Ren didn't know how to control his emotions. He was very hot-headed.
He was kind of like an angry teenager.
He was an angry teenager, and so it made it really hard for me to believe him as a formidable opponent. But I saw he was powerful, and I thought he was a very intricate character who had a lot of complexities.
Yeah, he wasn't just a bad guy just for the sake of being bad.
And I don't think he's ever been a bad guy for the sake of being bad.
Anyway, my point being the fact that in the first movie didn't really he definitely wasn't one of my favorite characters coming out of The Force Awakens. But in this movie,
I also overhyped.
Yeah, he was he's gonna be really cool and do stuff. And I'm like, all right, he's okay. But in this movie, they really do a good job of making him like an interesting character who you're interested in what he's dealing with going through. You want to know what's going on.
Yeah.
You sympathize with him at parts. Not necessarily like forgiving him for his past actions, but you see him in a different light. Yeah, and I thought that was really fascinating.
Because that's the thing, is you don't always have to redeem them, but you do want to understand them.
Yeah, and explore them and understand, why they're acting the way they're acting.
Their motivations, yeah.
And so that was really cool. I thought that his connection with Rey was like one of the most interesting things that Star Wars has done in a long time.
That's the thing, is this entire movie expands how we understand the Force, and to see these two characters connecting through the Force in a way that we've never seen before. We've had people be like, "Oh no, my person just died.
I can sense something.
I can sense something's wrong.
My dad's on that ship."
But like, to see someone face to face
and have a conversation,
touch across the universe.
The whole thing where they're standing in the rain and he has water on his hands.
Yeah,
that was really cool.
It's really such a new thing of looking at the Force, but the way it was filmed was so simple, so beautifully crafted that I bought it.
Yeah, you believed they were in the same room even though you knew they weren't in the same room because you could see it.
They are across the universe from each other, but they're still very confused about how they're seeing each other.
Yeah, and those scenes were interesting. I think that there were interesting scenes to watch because it was this opportunity for these two characters that are so similar yet so different to have to talk to each other and understand each other better without fighting.
Even though she tries to shoot him with the blaster the very first time that they meet, it forces them to grow. It forces them
to see each other as people and not just as this enemy.
This person who killed the only person that I finally was able to connect with. It really grew them together. It really showed how different they are. It really emphasized the yin and the yang of the two people. And it was really cool. And so that entire dynamic I thought was one of the most interesting things from the movie. And disclaimer. We I know there's some people who ship Rey and Kylo. Reylo is a thing.
Even from the beginning of
from last movie after he tortured her. I never thought Reylo was a thing.
Yeah, at all.
I never shipped her with anyone.
Yeah, I don't really necessarily know if I ship them together, but I can definitely see the subtext for it is there.
There is subtext. If you want to see them together, there's your context.
They have an emotional connection, regardless of whether it's platonic or if it's
sexual or
there's something there. Yeah. But I would have, going into when they first started doing scenes, I was like, is this gonna be a thing?
Are they
I don't know
making
if I
them a thing?
And then halfway through, I was like, you know what, this is interesting, and I'm enjoying watching them interact.
They're doing it well. Yeah. That's the thing is, the two of them put their hearts into these scenes. It's some of the best acting of the entire film, other than Luke. They went for it. Yeah. So there's chemistry, there's a connection. What they do moving forward, we'll see.
That'll be interesting to see where they go with that.
He offers her a seat at his throne. Yeah. She turned it down.
Yeah.
So that technically could mean the end of Reylo, but we don't know.
Well, one of the things we were talking about is they still do clearly have this connection regardless of
who's controlling
it.
If Snoke was the reason that it happened, or if he just was their connection.
Or making it more intense, which I think that he did have
he had an influence on it.
I think that now that he's formed it or whatever, it's there. We see in
regardless of whether or not he started it or had an influence on it. He definitely had an influence. Whether or not he started it, it's there. It's not going away.
And we see in that scene, at the very end, where they're still able to see each other.
Even though he's gone.
I'm hoping that continues to play a part in the next movie. Is he gone?
Well, there's people think he's not gone.
Yeah.
At least
they definitely do.
It's he's still part of the Force, whether he's dead. He's dead.
They definitely do set up the concept of the Force ghost being a thing, and just because you're dead doesn't mean you're dead.
See you around, kid.
Yeah, and so that's another thing. Just because Luke is dead, I think Mark Hamill will definitely be in the next movie for sure.
You're not going to have an entire scene dedicated to Yoda telling him to not give up on Rey, for him to just die and be gone.
Yeah,
and you don't have all of this subtext of I will be with you. I'm not gone, I'm just no longer present. Like, there was a lot of that.
And they brought that concept back, so I think it would be strange if they didn't continue with that. And I also think if he's likely to come back, there's no reason that Snoke couldn't potentially come back in some way.
If the good guys can come back, why can't the bad?
And clearly Snoke is very powerful. If he was able to do this kind of stuff, he was able to turn Kylo Ren. He was able to connect.
He can use the Force through a freaking hologram.
That was so cool.
Like, that was when, it's like very beginning. He controls Hux through just like this hologram. Knocks him around. And like, that was when I knew we were going to be like pushing the boundaries on the Force, because no one's ever done that.
Yeah.
No one's ever been like, I'm not actually here, but I can still fuck you over.
Speaking of Snoke, that scene in his like throne room, that fight scene with Rey and Kylo and the guard, that was like
beautifully choreographed.
People in our theater were cheering. It was just so lit. It was so cool.
And I just want to see more of that. I want to see the two of them fighting together, because they're balanced.
That was cool.
They just they knew what each other was gonna do, even though they were so insane. Talk like that Force connection really is strong. So the next thing we were gonna talk about was some of the side characters and how well not they were used. The B and C plot line, as I kind of like to call it, because
which one is the C plot line?
The C plot line is Finn and Rose, because it starts off with Poe and then diverges into some random C plot.
I think that for sure, if I have a single like really big gripe with this movie, it is the Finn and Rose plot line.
The thing is, though, I like their characters. I like Rose. She's
Finn was my favorite character from The Force Awakens.
It was just
for sure.
They were poorly utilized in a plot that amounted to nothing.
Legitimately, nothing they did was beneficial
in any way, shape, or form.
Watching it, I wasn't like, this is bad.
Like,
it just doesn't lead anywhere.
Yeah.
And that was what was frustrating to me, because I feel like it was very clear to me that as the director, Rian Johnson wasn't as interested in that in Finn. And
which is sad, because that is like, he's honestly one of the cooler characters.
And I think that there was a lot of missed opportunity. You could have gone into like him dealing with the fact that he's not a stormtrooper anymore, and what does that mean for him? Like,
and they don't really touch on that. They don't even use Phasma at all. Like, that's the thing, is everything that had Finn's storyline with it amounted to nothing in this.
And that was frustrating to me as someone who really loves.
He was
that
a really
character.
great
I love
character.
John Boyega as an actor. I feel like they didn't give him anything to do.
Yeah, they really did.
And so that was frustrating, and I definitely would agree that was the weakest part of the story.
Yeah.
When they do finally like catch up with everyone else, they have that whole moment where she kisses him, which I felt like was kind of out of nowhere.
So it was weird, but the issue I had with it is that, like, it's not like they can't come back from it. It just kind of felt like I almost sensed it coming watching through. Like, she.
Well, I wondered. I'm like, are they gonna go there with it?
Yeah, but it always like I never felt it from his side. It always felt like
I don't
worship. Yeah. But I thought they had evolved where they were now comrade in arms.
Yeah.
So I thought we had moved past that personality.
She now sees him as an equal person and an equal versus like.
And so that's why it felt weird that she kissed him out of that, because it felt like they were equals and that they were comrade in arms, and now they're not again. It's
I don't know.
A little more back to idol
I will be very curious to see what they do with it in the next movie for sure. Like if that's going to be something they're going to develop more, which I'm not opposed to it necessarily.
I
want to be clear. I like Rose as a character. I think that I liked. One of the things I really did like about that plot line was like they set up the fact that her sister sacrifices herself for the Resistance, and that she's still dealing with that, and that she wants to she very much
to be a part of it.
Represents us as the audience. Yeah, I think, and not in a bad way, and not
she's
not as like a Mary Sue kind of, but we see ourselves in her.
Yeah,
because she is looking at these characters who are her heroes, and she wants to be like them and wants to save the world basically, and I think that that's an interesting
dynamic to have someone who's in awe of these people.
I just wish they'd given their plot line more of a
justice
trajectory that ended up paying off. Like, even if what had happened was, even if they failed in their initial mission,
something good came from it.
But they learned, but while we were there, we found out this information that will now help us. Like, something positive to take away from it. So it wasn't like they went on this side quest that led to nothing.
Yeah, it was literally just a side quest, because if anything, it caused more of their people to be killed.
Yeah.
Like, literally, they're the reason that the escape pods got shot down because of a really, really weird weird side character that I was very confused about.
Oh, the codebreaker guy?
I hated DJ.
Yeah, he was okay.
It was just,
I mean, he wasn't bad, but he just was tagged on.
Yeah. It didn't feel fully fleshed out.
I think that he was supposed to, like, be there to, like, teach Finn a lesson about, like, you know, there are no good guys and bad guys necessarily.
It's a good lesson,
which I think is
shoehorned.
Sort of a tangent is kind of, I think, where the theme of this movie and where the theme of this franchise is going.
Yeah.
Is kind of like the idea of balance. Like, there is no black and white, good or evil. Darkness and light lives inside everyone and everything. Yeah. You know what would have been, I'm just thinking this now, I wish they had done this, and I was kind of expecting it to happen when I was watching. They were on the same ship that Rey and Kylo were on. Yeah. And I kept waiting for them to meet up.
And they never did.
And that would have been a way to, like, bring that storyline, like, yeah, they failed, but they were able to help Rey get away from Kylo, and then they went down to the planet. Like, that could have been what it was, and that would have been better.
I wonder if that's a deleted scene.
I don't think so, because then they have that moment of reuniting at the end. I guess.
It is weird, though, like that, because I was like, wait, they're on the same... Yeah. Like, Hux literally goes to talk to Kylo right after that.
I feel like that was a missed opportunity, and that would have, like, I think salvaged that plotline a little bit better.
Yeah, it would have just made it a little more solid.
Are you taking notes, Disney? Oh, no.
Yeah, Disney. Literally everything that they were working for failed. Yeah. And they barely got out with their lives, which you can say life doesn't always have a happy ending, things don't always work out, but yeah, things don't always work out, but it at least has
narratively,
a small little
if we're going to spend 2 hours watching something, don't show us 45 minutes that don't lead anywhere. Anything. You know what I mean? Other than to just serve to develop these two characters' relationships, which was nice to watch, but didn't necessarily pay off at the end.
Didn't really go that deep into their relationship. Yeah. It was very surface level compared to, like, the other plot lines we were watching.
Yeah. And I feel like they were both great actors that could have done more. So yeah, that plot line was
the C plot line needed improvement. Yes. The B plot line
had some
weird holes because narratively Poe needed to learn a lesson, but part of the lesson he needed to learn would have caused them to all die. So, like, it was a weird thing.
I think the B plot line, for the majority, I liked.
I liked it.
I liked that they gave Poe an arc and they gave him more to do.
And he
learned a lesson.
There was a lot that he learned, and it was really important for him to see that and learn that moving forward.
Yeah, we'll talk about what we think is going to happen with Poe's character moving forward. I think that is the character that has the clearest trajectory, surprisingly.
Yeah, that's the only one I can tell you where
I feel like I can see what they're going to do with him in the next movie.
Everyone else, no idea.
Everyone else, I'm kind of like,
we're back to square one, which is...
I found it frustrating that the whole point of what happened was just that the Laura Dern's character, who's Admiral Holdo, is that her name?
Holdo?
Yeah, the whole reason that he, like, even caused the C plot, which we didn't really like to happen,
was because she wouldn't tell him something. Holdo couldn't have told him what was going on, even though he was expected, because that's what Organa did when she was there.
I think that the miscommunication element was frustrating,
because
it made for an interesting stuff to happen on the ship specifically. I did find that.
I liked what happened on the ship interesting, but it was just kind of like Finn and Rose didn't need to go on the side quest. Yeah. It actually hurt them that they went on the side quest because that was how they knew that they were using the escape pods. Yeah. So, like, it's really frustrating to know that a lot of characters died because Holdo didn't tell Poe what was going on.
Yeah, so that was frustrating. But I did like the scene where Holdo sacrifices herself and, like, light speeds through
See, that's the thing, is if there had been more communication, it would have felt so much... Like, I already really liked the scene. I thought it was an amazing scene, but having very little to know about her character, only seeing her really as a talking head, like, she literally just spewed some lines that Princess Leia has said numerous times, and then having her refusing to talk to Poe made me very hesitant to trust her.
Yeah, and I think that this was all on purpose, and I think a lot of the stuff that, like...
It was a bad twist to me. Like, it's like, you can write it so that she does this self-sacrifice thing in a way that's more emotional, like, oh my god, this character I care about is doing this thing, rather than, oh, she turned out to be good. Yeah, she turned out to be competent.
But
that's how it felt and paid off.
The entire point of this movie is, like, to subvert expectations, which I think is why it's so divisive. Like, that is the point. Like, oh, you think that the guy at the casino table is the codebreaker? No, it's not. It's this other guy. Oh, you think that Luke is gonna help train Rey to be? No, he's
gonna throw the lightsaber away.
Oh, you think that Poe really is the one who knows what's going on? No, really, Holdo had it under control.
Oh, you think Kylo's about to hurt Rey? No, he kills Snoke.
Yeah, the whole point is for expectations. They even say in the trailer, this isn't going to go the way you think. Like, that is totally, the point of the movie, and it works in some points, and at other points it doesn't. And that is why the movie is so divisive.
And I do think that had there been a couple more moments of her being more of a general, being a little bit more...
Like, where you kind of agree with, what she's doing, versus just showing her as, someone who doesn't know what she's doing or being an idiot.
The entire way that we see her is through Poe's eyes.
Yeah.
We don't actually get to see her without Poe around.
Yeah.
We don't get to see anything that isn't painted with a brush of how Poe is feeling about the situation.
Yeah.
Which is why you don't expect her to be helpful at the end. And while I think it's a good subversion of expectations... It could have been done a tiny bit better.
Now that I know what happens, I want to watch it again.
And see how
I feel about it.
Well, and that's the other thing is, there's stuff that I missed.
Yeah.
There
were little things that you picked up on that I didn't pick up on at the moment. There are extremely little
things to pick up on that if you aren't paying attention in that moment, you were going to read this completely differently. There are people who don't understand how the C plot was able to, completely undermine the B plot. But that was because of one little throwaway line that Poe says over an intercom to Finn that the freaking codebreaker.
Yeah, that's how the codebreaker was able to know what was happening
to sell them out.
And if you miss that, you're like, wait, what? How did you know?
Yeah.
So there's a lot. This movie is very nuanced in general.
Subtle.
There's a lot of subtleties, which I think is more of a benefit than in moments like that. It doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
But in other moments, it works really well.
It's one of the most thought-invoking films that I've seen recently.
Especially for a Star Wars movie.
A lot for a Star Wars film, but also a blockbuster.
Yeah.
This movie, I've only been thinking about it. I couldn't go to sleep the other night.
And it was freaking 5 a.m. and I'm like, I can't go to sleep. I'm just thinking about what I just watched.
I literally got 4 hours of sleep when I had to work after seeing it because I was just like, what about this? What are they going to do with this? What does this mean? What does that mean? And it's just so much to think about.
I didn't feel like that leaving The Force Awakens.
No,
there were things I was curious about going forward. I'm like, oh, I can't wait to see what they're going to do with this. But I wasn't really thinking
what does this mean? What is it going to do? And that's honestly the one reason I think Rian Johnson did a good job.
Yeah.
Because I'm really tired of all of these films that everyone cares about, these huge franchises, having no substance.
Yeah, no real.
There's no
challenge.
No challenge. They're just fluff things that get people into seats.
Yeah.
And when you challenge a viewer, you get division.
Yeah.
But people are talking about it. More people are going to go see it because they want to have their own opinions on things. It's going to make your movie make more money, but it makes your film more critical. It makes people want to analyze your film.
And that's why I think there's such a division between critics and fans, because the critics
are used to that.
Wow, this is a movie that's taking risks and doing stuff differently.
And
then fans are critical. But this isn't what Star Wars is to me. I think for a lot of people, this movie is to them what Captain America Civil War was to me.
Yeah.
Whereas, except for different reasons, because, Captain America Civil War does what I think most people wanted this movie to do, which is fan service.
Yeah.
It's here are all the characters that you wanted to see. Here's
what
this
you
person.
Expect.
This is exactly what you said. We're gonna put these.
We're not going to kill these certain people because we really want you to see the next one.
Yeah, and it just wasn't challenging. They didn't do anything interesting with the characters. It was very by the numbers. And then when they did have a twist fight scene at the end, you didn't feel like it was worth it because it wasn't earned. Yeah, and so I was extremely disappointed in that movie, but I built it up and stuff, and I think that's
everyone else has built this up because it's big.
But they wanted more to see what they were expecting.
I will admit, while it is a very critical film, there are a lot of moments that were meant to be memes. Mm-hmm. They knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
Miss Organa in space is definitely a meme.
It didn't bother me. But we had different opinions on that for sure. But I can see why. I totally get why.
My thing with that scene is, I love seeing Princess Leia as an extremely powerful Force user. I have nothing against that. I have a problem with it the way it was shot. It looked a little weird, and it felt like that one meme in space with like the people floating around.
The shooting star.
The shooting star meme. Like that's
and it's funny because I felt like it felt like Guardians of the Galaxy. Because there are several scenes in Guardians of the Galaxy that are very similar, where it's somebody floating in space and you're not sure if they're gonna live or not.
It just was the way it was composited.
Yeah.
Made me feel like it was the shooting star meme, and so that was all I could think of watching it, which made it have less of an impact.
Yeah.
Even though I was like, I'm seeing the love of my life use the Force right now. This is everything I ever hoped for. Why wasn't it done better?
See, I didn't feel that way. I thought it was cool in the moment. I didn't have like the adverse reaction. Yeah. But I've heard some people who like really hate it. Like some people just don't like it. I'm just glad I finally got to see her using the Force. Yeah. So now we've talked about we liked, we didn't like overall, thoughts. But now we're gonna talk about moving forward, where we think things are gonna go, what we'd like to see, maybe what it means that J.J. Abrams is coming back to direct.
I have a very important thing I want to say about J.J. Abrams coming back.
Go for it.
So, J.J. Abrams had a really tough time with The Force Awakens because he's bringing back this entire thing that everyone loved. And he didn't really want to fuck with that, so he pretty much
didn't want to do the prequels.
He didn't want to do the prequels. He was very worried and wanted to do something he knew would work. And so we got kind of...
And it's Disney's first run also. There's a lot of pressure.
There was a lot of pressure. So it's a New Hope light. Like, it's New Hope with a new, fresh look.
And that's not to say that it's bad. I love The Force Awakens.
He knew it would work. He knew he could get it done. He needed Rian Johnson to come in, throw shit at a wall, see what people like, see what works, see how to do something new, so that when he comes in, he has all of the stuff. He's literally been handed a fresh start because we don't know where anything's going. We don't know what's happening.
They didn't set things up the way they did at the end of the
and so he now has all of these ideas, good or bad. He now has a lot more to work with and a lot more fresh ideas of how the Force works. And
he has more to play with,
he has a lot more to play with. And as an amazing writer, as an amazing director, he has pretty much the biggest toy chest. And I think he can make a great thing out of what he's been handed. And I think even if people didn't like this film, the next film will benefit to Rian Johnson's creativity and risks.
I completely agree with you. I think that whether you liked it or not, that I think going forward, this is the best thing they could have done. Has been like, it was challenging and stuff. Because like now I really want to know where it's going because I have no idea. And I think that now they can really be creative and like really decide like, okay, this is what it is now. What does that mean?
Yeah, what does it mean that these two are connected?
Yeah.
How is that going to shape everything? Are they going to tell their respective people about it? If they aren't, how is it going to shape
them? That was another thing sorry, this was just like very tangential.
So excited.
But during that scene where like they were when you first think that Rey and Kylo might work together before
before the fight scene?
After the fight scene, before they're like, he's like, let's just fuck all this and let's just do our own thing.
Let's end the Sith, end the Jedi,
and let's just do our own thing. And she's like, no. Like right before that, I was wondering, I'm like, what would? Because at that point, I was still expecting like Rose and Finn to show up at some point. Like, what are they gonna think about the fact that she's working with the guy who killed Han Solo, who everyone loves, who was close with Finn, and
also that
Leia's husband
almost murdered Finn.
Yeah.
Like, if they had walked in that scene where he's offering his hand and she's like hesitant, it would have been so like mind-boggling. Like, she's not gonna tell anybody that she's having this connection.
I really hope that is something that they continue into, and I think that would give Finn an interesting thing to grapple with.
That the person he loves and the person he trusts
the most,
like literally wakes up from a coma. Where's Rey?
Yeah,
like that man has to grapple with the fact that the person who tried to murder him might not actually be or fully evil,
or if he is, that like his friend has this connection to this person and obviously has some kind of feelings for him, whatever kind of feelings they are, and she cares about
trust her. Like, there's that.
Yeah, it would be fascinating to see where they go with that,
and especially,
and I hope that they do go.
And then on the other side, you have the entire Knights of Ren. You have Hux, who probably aren't going to be wanting to trust Kylo.
Yeah,
because he's going to be a little more light-leaning. He's going to want to do things a little bit differently than he did in the
he's just going to be totally crazy because now everyone who he thought he could trust betrayed him.
Yeah, so like it's gonna have,
and they're gonna be like, he's out of control. We can't trust him.
It's like literally. He's gonna have so much fun writing what these people can do now because he's given the world.
We were talking about the one character we really feel like we can see where his character is going is Poe, and that's because they really, like, in this movie, you really get the sense of, like, Poe learning what it really means to be a leader and what the responsibility of that and what that is. And we were talking about Carrie Fisher. We don't really know what capacity she's going to be in the next movie.
There's so many routes you can go with her, because you can either have her presence be felt without her actually being there.
Like, she's off, like, they may reference her off on some other planet or something.
Or her sending a message in or something like that. Yeah. Or they could jump in time and kill her off in the scroll at the beginning. Like, or they have stuff of her filmed. They could show her.
Yeah, maybe they have more footage that we just don't know about.
Yeah, the only thing we know is that she will not be CGI. They will not recreate her CGI, but we don't know anything else.
Yeah,
and it'll be really interesting to see.
But either way, that role is going to need to be filled, and a clear character to be able to follow that is Poe.
Because Holdo's gone.
Yeah,
Carrie's gone. So Poe's what we have.
I mean, Rey, isn't really the character to do that role.
No, and she knows she's not the leader. It's kind of like she is Kylo to her Hux, which is Poe.
Yeah.
Like, Poe and Hux should be the leaders of their
It'll also be interesting to see Poe and Rey's relationship, not shipping relationship, although some people are shipping them for some reason because they said hi to each other. At one time.
Hi, I'm in love with you.
Which, like, whatever. If they can manage to pull that off in one movie, whatever. So now if Poe is going to be this, like, you know, leader character, and she's like the Kylo Ren to his Hux kind of a thing, you know, she also has this connection with Kylo Ren. What does that mean, like,
for the Resistance?
For the Resistance, is he going to be able to trust her, or are they going to clash over how they're going to handle things?
That's why I'm so excited.
Like, that could be very interesting, because we've never seen their dynamic, so
we've never seen how they interact in the first place, but he trusts her because Finn trusts her. Yeah. So what's going to happen if Finn can't trust her? Yeah. Like, there's a whole lot of stuff. That was the thing. Leaving The Force Awakens, I was hyped because I knew... I had an idea of what was going to happen in the next one.
And we loved the characters. And we're like, I'm just excited to see back
where
with
they
them.
go. I loved the characters. I couldn't
And I still do.
More.
And I'm the most frustrated about Finn because I love Finn. I think that he
got really underutilized.
He really got, like, the short end of the stick in this movie. Yeah. I think that no matter what they did, that would have happened, but I still think there was ample opportunity for them to have given him more. Yeah. For sure.
But that's the thing is, after leaving Force Awakens, I was like, okay, I'm excited just to see what they do with these characters. Yeah. But now I'm like, they can do anything with these characters. Yeah. I'm so excited to know what happens. Like, I left that film more excited to see the next film than I did leaving Force Awakens.
Yeah, one of the mistakes of Disney's decision, and I'm not saying that J.J. Abrams should have necessarily done all three of these movies, because I do like the risks that were taken in The Last Jedi, and I'm glad that they took them. Yeah. You know, when you have this franchise and you have multiple directors doing different episodes, it's hard to maintain certain things throughout the movies, and I think that that's a challenge.
And like, one director might want to focus on one character that the other director doesn't want to focus on. So
and that was clearly what happened in this movie. Yeah. Clearly, JJ set Finn up as more of a major character, and he is basically like the C plot character in this movie, which I think is kind of offensive. And I feel like if JJ Abrams directed all three of them, then you wouldn't have had that. But I also think that
you wouldn't have had a lot of the risks.
Yeah, this movie would not have been.
I don't think Luke would have gotten the send-off that, honestly, he deserved. It was an amazing send-off. And if you think his death was not good, well, you need to rewatch the movie. Because that is the most Luke death Luke could have had.
Shows up with, like, a new outfit, has changed his beard.
Is extremely
shows up to the fight 15 minutes late with Starbucks.
Dies like Obi-Wan. Like
an icon. Literally just, like, astral projects just for the hell of it. Oh, God, he's such a cool guy.
But he literally, he did that almost in, like, honor to Obi. Because that was, like, there was foreshadowing for that was how it was going to happen. Like, it was one of the most beautifully thought out deaths of anything.
No, I didn't bother me
that death was the most beautiful thing, and they played his theme. It was amazing.
Yeah, the twin sons. That was good.
Everything about that was amazing and iconic.
I think what people forget in general, like, you know, we're sitting here and we're tearing it apart and we're, like, talking about what we saw.
But it was still an enjoyable film.
Star Wars was never meant to be, like, this, you know,
beautiful, revered thing.
You know, it's not Shakespeare. Like, it's supposed to be fun.
It wasn't supposed to be like Shakespeare had fun.
That's true. Like, but it's supposed to be fun. Yeah. And you're supposed to laugh, and you're supposed to get excited at the fight scenes. And it's not supposed to be perfect. And I think a lot of people forget that. They're like, oh, this movie sucked, and it was like, and
it's not the original
these things
trilogy.
I don't like about it. I'm like, even the original trilogy, like, has its issues, and
it's not the most beautiful, perfect piece of cinema.
You can argue that the Empire Strikes Back is basically perfect, but, like, okay, then you're never going to be able to live up to that. You just never will.
Also,
and you can't judge every other movie based on that one.
Yeah, and also, for its time period, it might be impeccable, it might be perfect, but that doesn't mean, with today's standards of movie writing or today's effects or anything, means it's not perfect.
Like, yeah, if that movie came out now, people probably wouldn't respond to it the way.
Yeah, like that's the thing.
At the time.
Looking at the time period, yes, it's probably a perfect piece of cinema, but looking at it now, I can still poke holes in it. Like, it's that nothing is perfect. Nothing in film will ever be perfect. Yeah. We can damn near try, but that doesn't mean we'll always succeed. And I'd rather you take risks in that effort than just make
the same thing over. The other thing is, in general, this isn't just Marvel or Star Wars or any other movies. I'm getting really tired of going and seeing the same kind of movie with the same kind of plot.
With the same kind of actors.
Over and over again. I feel like, love this movie or hate this movie,
it
was different.
That's the thing to take away from this film.
Yeah, and I like
Last
that.
Jedi is different. Let us know your thoughts and opinions kindly and respectfully
to your fellow moviegoers.
Be nice, but be constructive.
Yeah, and
because saying someone's opinion stupid to be stupid, doesn't help anyone.
And you can just it is valid to just not like something for no reason. You can just be like, I just don't like that. I just didn't connect with me.
Yeah,
and that is valid. But if someone else likes it, that's not a valid reason for you to attack them. You know what I mean?
And it's never be kind always.
Yes, be nice. And totally, I'd love to hear your debates and things that you disagree with us on and all that stuff. And just keep in mind that it is just a movie. It is just a movie about people in space with light swords. And we all love it, clearly. If you can't see by our freaking
everything
setup here, we love Star Wars, so we get it.
Yeah.
But we're also just here to have fun and talk about a movie. So
yeah.
Just keep that in mind. That's a message to everyone in the Star Wars fandom right now.
And also, may the Force be with you.
Oh.